Directly from Senn High School Studio 231, this is Senn TV Season 3.
Alright. Hey, what's up everybody? It's Hasan here from Senn TV. Welcome you guys back to episode 19. Today we have a slew of exciting pieces. From the open mic rally, we also have the film and fashion festival, and we have a trip to C2E2 for me personally. So, why don't we begin with the powerful performance here at the open mic rally? Why don't we take a look?
Senn had its first open mic rally in the big gym to honor the anniversary of the Columbine shooting. There were many performances such as spoken word, rapping, and singing. Let's take a look.
We would like to honor the murdered students of the Columbine High School shooting that occurred on this very day. So when you guys celebrate 420 every single year, people are mourning their dead children because they were murdered in schools. Because two students came in and shot up a school. Bet y'all didn't know that, huh?
For you, for me, for the rest of the children. So why? What future is there with a gun pointed to a child's head? What future do you see with a bullet in their brain? A brain that was so bright and that promised success. A brain now dead with a bullet that is named death. Tell me why. Why does it take only a few minutes, even seconds, to get a gun, the same amount of time it would take for 17 lives to be lost?
Next thing I know, she grown, talking about she a woman. Just because you can lay down and open your legs to a man don't make you a woman. I tried to tell her that.
Barack Obama, how much you weigh? Something heavy, like the mass of incarceration. You feel like heart hanging like necklace noose. You see the air around it choking, warming globally. Barack Obama, what's your favorite color? Body brown, house white, breech black, rainbow white. Barack Obama, what you hear? The freedom bell breaking like heartache.
Bang bang, another man down. Bang bang, another boy down. Bang bang, another son down. Another jewel crown. Nowhere to be found. But here we are, yet another round. We mute all sound, forever bound.
Thanks to everyone for showing up and supporting the performers. This is Nabil Siddiqui reporting for Senn TV.
Very diverse group of young voices who are encouraged to express themselves creatively and freely as individuals, and I think that's what's great about Chicago, and I'm very impressed with what I've seen here. Thank you. Thank you.
They have every reason to be proud of themselves with the artistic skills they displayed in the film and fashion show. Senn students participated in modeling their very own clothes, from the most simple to the most exotic, to showcase their filmmaking talents in another section. Shout out to Naomi Alvarado for her upbeat energy while being in the show. Let's take it over to Kendall Jackson Jr., who conducted an interview with one of the lead organizers of the event, Mang Tae.
So the Fashion and Film Festival, it's a Senn created thing. Usually we don't really have like in our art classes we don't really have like those taught in courses or anything like that. So when we do like a festival like this, there's creators that are not heard. They could submit their stuff like fashion. Like you don't really do that in your art classes, just like film. This is the second year that we're doing it, and yeah.
So at least in the film program, we're really trying to emphasize the idea of immersing the students in that kind of information. So through theory and history and production, the students are exposed to these kind of ideas. And really that's kind of the goal of what we're trying to promote here at Senn. And again, you see this not only in the film, but also in the fashion, is that our students are not simply kind of bystanders observing, they're actually engaging. Now to do that, they need to have hopefully a solid foundation and understanding of what has come before them so they can build upon it.
If it comes back, who's the last model for their collection, then you guys can just filter out of either side maybe, and stand here for a sec.
Shout out to everyone involved, and let's hope they continue this event next year. This is Philip Johnson White reporting for Senn TV.
This is L Club. We're going to be talking about sleep and how important it is to health. Right now you're going to be hearing from Ms. Garner on our overview of sleep.
Sleep is a recurring relaxation of the body. Like Dalai Lama said, sleep is the best meditation.
Children should get at least 10 to 13 hours of sleep. Teenagers should get at least 8 to 10 hours of sleep, and adults should get at least 7 to 9 hours of sleep. If you don't get the right amount of hours of sleep, you may receive long-term and serious health problems.
There are some negative and positive effects of sleep. One negative effect would be 6 hours or less can cause depression, and one positive effect can be it can benefit your lifestyle.
So the real question is, how can we sleep early? Well, I'll tell you. Don't go in an environment which is way too hot or way too cold. Listen to some soothing music. Buy an actual alarm clock. I'm telling you, this can lead you to going to sleep early and being healthy.
Based on my perspective of sleep, sleep reduces my red eye. Sleep makes my concentration easier. When I don't get enough sleep, everything and everyone irritates me.
You should get some sleep.
As decision day approaches, seniors are making their selection to what college or university they will be attending in the fall. The future is bright for all, especially Shanice Fanus, the only posse winner in Senn's 2018 graduating class, will be attending Pomona College in California. I had the amazing opportunity to sit down with Shanice and discuss her very exciting senior year and plans for the future.
Senn and Pomona are kind of parallel in that same sense, where it's like the first 2 years are kind of chill, and then the last 2 years are really what you want to focus in on. I'm extremely grateful that I got the scholarship, and many people I know have been like really wanting it, and to know that I'm the only person, it feels really unreal. I've been dancing like all my life, but it wasn't up until high school when I took it more seriously. In dance, we have to learn to mold ourselves into the different personalities that are in one room. Like, there's many different personalities. Everybody's like either really loves something or really doesn't like something, so you have to kind of be aware of who's in the room and what's in the room, and learn how to take it in a positive way instead of a negative way.
Yeah, like we should do that. Yeah.
Something about senior year has made it so much harder. I think it's because I know that there's the IB tests that are coming up, and then we have IB dance, and now there's all this different layers that are attached to what I did before that's made this year so hard for me. You just have to keep pushing through it. Like, for me, the senior year was like my struggle, but I kept pushing through, and I know that this year will probably be my favorite year, even if it was the hardest year for me. So keep pushing through, even when you think that the world is on your shoulders, everything is not going your way. You just got to keep on persevering and keep on going through it, because you'll look back and be so glad that you push yourself through all that struggle. In the future, I would like to become a dermatologist. I really do have a passion for skin, and I kind of want to expand on it, so biology would probably be the first step into doing so.
The dancing dermatologist, basically.
Yeah. Yep. Call me the dancing doctor.
Very, very. The Chicago Comic and Entertainment Expo, C2E2 for short, took place from April 6th to the 8th at McCormick Place. If you're unaware of what C2E2 is, it's a pop culture convention where fans of comic books, video games, anime, and more come together to cosplay as their favorite characters, attend panels and meet and greets with some of their favorite voice actors, and purchase tons of merchandise. As a really big fan of pop culture myself, such as Japanese anime and science fiction, I was really excited to make this my first C2E2. Thousands of people were thriving at the entrance alone, with people dressed up in Star Wars attire and more. These are Gundams. They're Japanese model kit toys that you can build yourself, similar to Legos in a wide variety of poses. A variety of pop culture related shirts, memes, video games, cartoons, and the sort. Inside these mystery boxes usually is a random mesh of all types of goodies, but you never know what you're gonna get. I would recommend that anyone who's a fan of video games, movies, comic books, or anything of the sort attend next year. For Senn TV, this is Hasan Gordon reporting.
Beyonce was the first woman of color to open for Coachella in the history of the event on Saturday, April 14th and 21st. Her set was appreciating Black culture from HBCU's marching bands, Black Power, Black Panther, and women empowerment. During her Coachella set, she reunited the group Destiny's Child that she had been a part of for years to bring a dazzling performance.
I did not come to play with you hoes. I came to slay, bitch. Y'all haters calling with that Illuminati mess. Paparazzi catch my fire and my cocky fresh. I'm so reckless when I rock my shit, dress.
Beyonce surprised her fans by bringing her sister out on stage. Jay-Z joined his wife on stage to perform a song from their On the Run tour.
I don't make the list, no, we've had a king. I just make the hits like a pack of green. I'm just one to one. This ain't nobody staying what I've been. And I see that cream with my body's like a ocean. I can be a beast or I can give you a potion. So please don't question my devotion. I'm giving birth on the Raiders was a bad. See the double D's on the bed. Want my double D's in the bed. If you really love me, make it out my pocket. As I walk in, what they talking? That booty like.
Some people are saying that this was not only the best Coachella performance since the start of the festival, but also Beyonce's best performance since her career started. Many celebrities voiced their opinion on it.
Spectacular. Brilliant. Amazing. I bow down to the queen. To the queen.
Although musicians create amazing music, what they do behind the scenes is often left in the dark, and when it's brought into the light, it could radically change our perspective on them and the music that they produce. So the question that I ask is should we continue to listen to music that we love despite those artists exhibiting inappropriate behavior? I investigated around the school to find out.
Something that was created before the person did anything wrong probably should have no restrictions on it. We should be able to still listen to it. But if, as a social statement, we want to support victims, whether it's from Me Too or other victims of other crimes or mistreatment, we might, as individuals or as groups or as a society, choose to boycott a certain musician if we want to spread the message that we don't think it's okay to engage in those types of behaviors.
You know, I think there's a big movement against it now, and that can be sort of a positive thing, and I think art can start having a more positive message, which I think is important. I think it's a hard question, though. I have a personal sort of conflict with it because I enjoy listening to like hip-hop music and rap music, and sometimes it can be very derogatory, and it makes me sort of like upset that my students are listening to this sort of thing and maybe like being influenced by it and their behavior. So I go through phases. Sometimes I just like appreciating the music for what it is, and then sometimes, you know, depending on what's happening in the world, I can kind of take it too personally and I can't listen to it.
I think we should continue to listen to the music because we're giving them a second chance at life, because although they did something in their past that probably wasn't, you know, acceptable, now they're trying to change their lives by making music that we listen to, which they're also making money from. And when you're in the music industry, you have to be professional. You can't come into the music industry doing what you were doing when you weren't in the music industry. So that just changes people tremendously.
I mean, personally, like, for example, XXS Tentacion or whatever, however you say his name, I like his music now, and I started listening to him, and I got, you know, really addicted to his music. And I think, like, I didn't really think about, like, the stuff that he did in the past whenever I started listening to his music, and it doesn't really affect me as a person. So,
well, one other example that comes to mind is I recently got I belong to a Record of the Month club, and one recently was Ready to Die by Notorious B.I.G. And in that album, he and his the people that appear on it rap about some really horrible things, including robbing and assaulting a pregnant woman, so bad that it's censored even on like the uncensored version. So I think I don't have a moral problem with listening to that, even though the lyrics are really awful and offensive to me and seem to promote behavior that I find completely irresponsible and wrong, because it's almost like a horror movie. I almost feel like sometimes when I listen to these albums that are really outrageous and they're saying crazy things, it's almost like they're trying to capture some reality of the streets that is very separate from my reality, and I listen to it almost with curiosity that this is, you know, a culture that I'm unaware of.
Take, for example, Richard Wagner, one of the most prolific opera composers in history, was a very well-noted, virulent anti-Semite. His operas, you know, the March of the Valkyrie, or Flight of the Valkyrie, like, it's been said that that's like a white supremacist like anthem to like, it's like an attack on people of the Jewish faith. So it's like, personally, I'm not a big fan of his operas because of that, and yet some of the biggest opera houses in the world still produce his works.
How do you feel about musicians who partake in questionable behavior? Be sure to let us know on any of our social media pages. And from Senn TV, this is Hasan Gordon signing out.
Quiet girls do not make history.
Hi guys, my name is Myra Staven, and I profile an inspirational teacher and coach here at Senn named Angela Cruz. As a female wrestling coach, she's overcome struggles of stereotypes. I wanted to document how even now in 2018, women still struggle with gender roles and stereotypes. Even with all of this, soon she will be taking 6 girls to Springfield for state. Please enjoy her story.
I went to an all-girls school. It was interesting. We had Brother Rice, which was right across the parking lot from us, and they had football and they had wrestling, so we got to go watch it, but we didn't get to participate. My guy friends would be like, hey, I learned this thing in practice and I really want to try it on someone. Can I try it on you? And I think the first thing that they tried on me was an ankle pick. When I started teaching high school 15 years ago, I wanted to coach football and pitched it to my then principal and was laughed at. And she said, there's a volleyball coach job open. I think it was more, it wasn't being told no that was the problem. It was how they phrased it and how everyone reacted when I said that's what I wanted to do. Like there was something wrong with me, like that made me, I don't know, somehow less. It was really frustrating. And to go through a good part of my life feeling like there was something wrong with me because I didn't want to cheer, then, you know, that was like one of the only options for me. Most of my friends when I was in high school were either football players or wrestlers or both. And I always got along better with the guys that we hung out with than I did with the girls, and so I kind of picked it up from them. And then when I was here, my second year here, 3 of my students came and like begged me to coach wrestling, and I told them no. And they came back and they asked again, and I told them no. And they came back and they asked a third time, and I was like, no. And then one of them came in, I don't remember if it was lunch or if it was after school, and he was like, look, I'm being serious. It's my senior year. I've wrestled since I was a freshman. There's no one to do it. If you don't do it, I don't get to be a 4-year wrestler. And I was like, 1 year. I will do it for 1 year. And yeah, that was 4 years ago. Probably the coolest thing that I have ever seen coaching wrestling was girls' state tournament last year. There were 500 girls on the floor. They stopped everybody from warming up for the national anthem, and I just kind of looked around and was like, wow, there's 500 girls on the arena floor right now. And it's really awesome. It was really, really awesome to see that. And I looked at our wrestler that I was there with, and she had tears in her eyes, and I had tears in my eyes, and looking across the mats, and everybody standing there like wiping away tears. It was just really cool because I didn't get that opportunity in high school, and not very many girls when I was in high school had the opportunity to do things like that. I've been described as bloodthirsty. I have been described as cold and callous, and I mean, I don't think I'm any of those things. I'm just me. And I get, I get the chance to like be myself, I guess, when I'm coaching mat side. Wrestling is equal parts aggression and strategy, and I think I have a pretty good strategic brain, and I'm definitely aggressive, so it's a really good combination for me. At the end of the day, it's who wants it more, and 110% of the time I'm gonna want it more because I feel like I have to prove it. Look at the women who've made history. They haven't made history by sitting in a corner wringing their hands. They've made history by opening their mouth and getting off their butts and doing something about the issues that they saw, or the things that they wanted to change, or the inequalities that they witnessed.